Today is Wednesday, December 11th, and I'm just wondering where these Cowboys are headed now. And in the second episode, part Bill Belichick, Juan Soto, and who pitches for the Rangers.
What do you want from your favorite restaurant? Fantastic personal service, a cheery, welcoming, spotless atmosphere, and great food. The primest of beef, Wagyu and lamb, incredibly fresh seafood, lobster, salmon, shrimp. Hall of Fame food from the Hall of Fame restaurant. 2 locations of Bob's Steak and Chop House. The original Bob's on Lemon Avenue and the gorgeous new Bob's at Craig Ranch, McKinney.
For the last 23 years on KTCK Radio The Ticket, I've anchored the Normathon. It's an all-day broadcast benefiting Austin Street Center for the Homeless. I believe the best homeless center in America. Over those 23 years, the Normathon has raised $9.5 million in cash for Austin Street. And we could not have done nearly that without the incredible help of Crest Cars. The centerpiece of every Normathon has been the raffling off of 3 gorgeous Crest vehicles. This year, beginning on Monday, December 2nd, and running through the day of the broadcast of the Crest Cars Normathon, that's the 26th. We'll be selling raffle tickets at $100 each. Here's your chance to win one of 3 beautiful brand new Crest Cars, a Cadillac, an Infiniti, and a Volvo. The tickets are easy to get and very safe by going to the website austinstreet.org and clicking on Normathon. Use your credit card. These tickets also make great Christmas stocking stuffers. The winners will be drawn live on the air December 26th at 7:10 p.m. on the broadcast of the Normathon. We will sell no more than 4,500 tickets. The raffle tickets sell out early every year. So again, get your $100 raffle tickets at austinstreet.org and then click on Normathon.
What a bizarre ending to the Cowboys' Monday night game against Cincinnati. What a bizarre, strange play. An incredible mistake made by the Cowboys' Amane Urawarie in trying to field what had already been a block punt and then fumbling it. And, well, you saw it. You've seen it by now. But you know what? That's how mediocre teams lose football games. They're just not good enough. They're not sharp enough. They're not focused enough. The guy that made that mistake, Oruwariye, is not a kid. He started 38 games in this league. He's played on all sorts of special teams, on multiple teams. That's a mistake he shouldn't make. I hear Jerry reportedly blaming the coaches for this one. You tell a guy, don't do that. And you tell him again, hey, don't do that. And then you tell him, don't do that, 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 over the course of weeks and weeks and weeks. And then he does it. I know it's chic to lay blame for things like that at the feet of the coaches, but a coach doesn't make a mistake like that. A player does. And the Cowboys are now 5-8. Their playoff hopes, forget it. You're drinking bad whiskey if you're thinking they got playoff hopes. Here's how it would happen if it could happen. The Cowboys win their last 4 games of the season. And by the way, they'll almost certainly be underdogs in all 4 of those games to close the season, including this weekend where they're a very small underdog at Carolina. That's right. The odds makers have made the sad sack Panthers a small favorite over the Cowboys. It's been 33 games since Carolina was favored over anybody in the National Football League. But if Dallas sweeps their last 4 games, they get to 9-8. The team they're closest to in the standings, Washington, is 8-5. Well, if Dallas won their last 4 games, one of the wins would be over Washington. They then would need 2 of the other 3 Washington opponents left on their schedule to beat the Redskins. New Orleans, I don't know which number quarterback they're going to be starting this weekend against Washington. Atlanta and Philadelphia. But that's if Dallas can win their last 4 games. No, doesn't happen, Willis. Just doesn't happen. Now, besides that loss at home, by the way, Cowboys are 1-6 at home this year. 1-6. In the last 2 regular seasons at home, they were 16-0. If you count the kind of tub thumping they got last season, the playoffs in Green Bay, Dallas is now 1-7 in their last 8 home games. So much for home field advantage, eh? But they lost more than a football game Sunday night or a Monday night. They lost a chunk of their 2025 team also. One of the truly bright spots this season for the Cowboys was linebacker DeMarvion Overshown. He'd missed all of last year, his rookie year, because he blew out a knee. But he rehabbed, and he came back this year, and he was starting to look like a potential star. And then he went down in the second half of the game against the Bengals. And he stayed down. And he limped off with help. And the TV people told us almost immediately he's not coming back in. And then we find out Tuesday he's blown out the entire right knee. ACL, MCL, PCL. It's totally blown out. It is, of course, major surgery. And the doctors have ruled out DeMarvion Overshown for all of next year already. It's going to take him a year plus if he can fully rehab from this injury. And when he does come back, cross your fingers, in 2026, he'll have only 1 year left in his Cowboy contract, and Dallas will have to make a decision on his future here. You know, the bottom line is it's a cruel game. And the Cowboys have now one more huge hole on a 25 team that has a huge number of holes. Next, Bill Belichick, Juan Soto, and the different approach major league teams are taking to free agent pitching.
And now, a word from our title sponsor.
Are all financial advisors fiduciaries? Fewer than you think. Not knowing could reduce your lifestyle. Hi, I'm Mitch Kramer, founder and CEO of Fluent Financial. A fiduciary is a regulatory term to reduce conflicts of interest in wealth management. A fiduciary always works in your best interest. A non-fiduciary advisor might put their compensation or company ahead of yours. At Fluent Financial, we are certified financial planners acting as fiduciary advisors. To learn more, go to fluentfinancial.com or Fluent Financial's YouTube channel.
I'm telling you, when I first heard that Bill Belichick might take a college football coaching job, I thought, this has got to be a joke. Somebody's putting us on. Bill Belichick, who has Super Bowl rings for all of his fingers and many of his toes, taking a college football coaching job at North Carolina? I mean, no offense to North Carolina, okay? It's a pretty good program, but it's not SEC, and it's not Big Ten. Bill Belichick taking a college coaching job? Well, you know what? It's not a joke. It's looking more and more and more like Bill B will be the head coach in North Carolina. Why? Why would he take a college job? Recruiting is such a war. And it's not only high school recruiting, but transfer portal recruiting. Well, stop right there. If you were a kid coming out of high school, or you were thinking of transferring in college, why wouldn't you want to go play for Bill Belichick? If you think you have any possible career in the NFL, why wouldn't you want to play for Bill Belichick? And that's going to be the recruiting song of North Carolina if Bill B is the head coach. But there's another enormous reason why Bill Belichick may show up as a Tar Heel in Carolina blue. It's that once he's finished with the job, and he's 73, so you can't imagine he'll keep the job long, the coach in waiting would be his son. Carolina would apparently, this is just by whisper out there, but the whispers are getting very loud, Carolina would apparently agree to hire Coach Belichick and agree that his son would be his successor. And of course, I guess you'd have to give them both contracts in that regard. But you know how people thought the next head coach of the Cowboys, if they get rid of Coach McCarthy, will be Bill Belichick? Turns out he's probably the next head coach of North Carolina. Baseball, the money has been getting crazier. But the contract to Juan Soto, I think, made everybody take notice. This star free agent outfielder signed with the New York Mets 15 years for $765 million. All of it guaranteed, none of it deferred. And by the way, there are even clauses he can make more than that down the road. Let me give you a little math on this one, okay? What does $765 million over 15 years look like? It's $51 million a year. It's $980,000 a week, and that includes all the weeks they're not playing baseball. It's $140,000 a week. A day, and that includes all the days they're not playing baseball. And finally, it's $6,000 a day, and that includes your sleep time. So if Juan Soto gets a nice solid 8 hours of sleep, he awakens having just made another $48,000. This is possible, that contract, because the owner of the Mets, Steve Cohen, he just wants to win. And when you've got owners who don't have many, if any, financial constraints, and Cohen has no financial constraints in his life, Steve Cohen's worth $21.33 billion. Okay, he may have to pay $20 million, $40 million a year in luxury tax. What is that to a guy who's worth $21.33 billion? He just wants to win before he goes to his earthly grave Steve Cohen wants to go there with a World Series ring on, or 2, or 3, and that's baseball's problem. See, baseball with its rules, I don't think could have ever envisioned somebody filthy rich like this owning teams, who could simply say, all right, you want $51 million a year for 15 years, and that may cover some years you're not even playing? That's okay with me. And that's where baseball is in some trouble. And that's where the Rangers may be in some trouble. Oh, make no mistake about it, Ray Davis is a rich man. But Ray Davis, the Rangers owner, is not in Steve Cohen's territory. And any bidding war between those two, Cohen will simply say, go ahead, give him $5 million more a year. And it's over. The bidding war is over. The Rangers are trying to shop this year with, for them, a fairly limited amount of money. They've got about $50 million to spend. But the market has gotten crazy. And the new approach to baseball's pitching market is teams are spending $10 million. The offer to Kirby Yates, the Rangers' free agent closer, maybe $14 million a year for relief pitchers. At those levels of money, the Rangers, trying to work with just $50 million to spend this offseason, are going to have to get very creative and next season, very lucky.
Today's episode brought to you by Fluent Financial. Retire sooner, better lifestyle. And by Crest Cars. There's good, there's better, and then there's Crest. And by Bob's Steak and Chop House.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges. If you enjoyed what you heard, please hit follow, and a fresh new episode will be delivered to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you know someone who might enjoy our work, please share it with them. I'm Norm Hitzges, and I'm always just wondering about something.
And I'm Mary Hitchkus, and I'm just wondering too.